Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. This one is sponsored by Chris R, who donated actually to see 3 different painter lists in action, and this is the first of 3. We'll space them out over about the next 3 weeks. Sprinkle a little painter here and a little there. Alright, so what's going on with this version of Painter? Today we'll be playing a mono-red painter deck list, and this is probably the most common color combination for painter. Um, a, a red-white version, sometimes colloquially referred to as a strawberry shortcake, is somewhat popular as well because it opens up Enlightened Tutor and sometimes some other sideboard options, but mono red is kind of the stock deck list. In case you're not familiar with the core combo, the idea is with Painter's Servant, you turn everything blue, or really any color, but usually blue for reasons that'll become clear in a second. And then you activate a grindstone, which will infinitely mill out your opponent, and you win when they try to draw a card on their turn. Usually you turn them blue because you have cards like Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast that can go and, essentially be a 1-mana Vindicate as long as you control a Painter's Servant. Supplementing the core of this deck is a Goblin Welder and Goblin Engineer package that allows you to get back these combo pieces. Now, interestingly, this version specifically has a couple of large artifacts that we can cheat into play. We have Wormcoil Engine as something that can help us stabilize versus aggro decks, like, say, Delver. And we have the Immortal Sun, which shuts off Planeswalker abilities. You get to draw an extra card each turn, your spells are cheaper, and you get an Anthem effect. There's a lot of value there. Now, notably, this is symmetrical here. It does say players can't activate Planeswalker's loyalty abilities. So that will shut off our 4 Planeswalkers that are in this deck. But, if we've put a 6-mana thing into play, that'll probably win us the game one way or another. And if we really needed to activate a Planeswalker ability, we could weld it out too. We have a pretty robust Karn the Great Creator package, which includes a Grindstone and a Painter's Servant, so it's really like we're running additional copies of those. And there's a couple of spicy things in this deck list you might not be overly familiar with. Chandra, Heart of Fire, which has seen a little bit of play in red prison builds. Mazebind Tome, which is often a format staple in other formats, especially historic. And there's a couple of cute things here, like a Hope of Girapor, and where's that Seasoned Pyromancer? Yeah, that was the last one that I should probably showcase here. We're really not going to sideboard much with this deck because most of this is going to remain as a tutor board package for the Karn. So kind of like what you see is what you get. We can make some small adjustments. Notably, yeah, you know what? I don't have anything notable to say. I think I've said everything notable to say. All right, I'm on my 3rd set of recordings for the day. Give me some slack. All right, folks, if you're regularly watching my content and enjoy it and you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel and throwing me a like. That sort of thing really helps out with video metrics and helps get more eyes on my videos. All right, let's battle. This is a hand that has a mix of lands and spells, but doesn't really have any plan to win a game. We can't get to Karn mana. We don't have a painter for this. We don't have artifacts that are going to the graveyard for this. I'm just going to mulligan this one. No? No, no, no. Okay, well, this isn't really what I'm looking for. One grindstone goes back, and then one of these 2 cards goes back. I think I'm going to pitch a Hope of Girapur. This is a weak 5-card hand. I'm sure that's obvious, though. So in the past, Artesian has played a lot of Aluren and other sort of like blue-green X style decks, so that would be my expectation for what's going on here. I am just going to go ahead and ram this out. And I don't need that upkeep Delver stop anymore. If my opponent is show and tell, having access to an ensnaring bridge is cool. But this opening is kind of ambiguous, I suppose, is a way to put it. Like, this could be show and tell, this could be a control deck, it could still be a Delver deck. Starting to feel like blue-green show and tell. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and keep the bridge in my hand and go for a Goblin Engineer based line. Putting a painter in my graveyard gives me the possibility of going off next turn. It would require me drawing a soul land. If I draw a soul land, I can activate Grindstone, hold priority, put Painter Servant into play by welding away Grindstone. Ant? Could be a turbo Witherbloom Apprentice deck as well. Yeah. All right. So in case you're not familiar with how this works, you can repeatedly copy this, and then the Witherbloom Apprentice drains you to death. Okay, in terms of sideboarding, I think I'm going to figure out what I don't want in the deck, and then board from there. So like Ensnaring Bridge, for example, is a really weak card. I don't want to be playing that. Chandra Heart of Fire is also probably too slow here. Don't think I need the Immortal Sun or Wormcoil Engine. I might keep the Wormcoil. I don't have great interaction here because my opponent's combo cards are green and black. Usually they're blue. Like, there's cantrips holding this shell together. So maybe that means I want to Trinosphere. I could also just board in more combo pieces. Viewing Karn as slow. Braid is fine. Maze Mind Tome isn't particularly great here. But my Karns become just dreadful if I board these in. Hmm. A lot of my cards are kind of just slow, though. Like Seasoned Pyromancer, Wormcoil Engine, Karn all feel not great. Maybe I want just a better chance at naturally assembling the combo. So, like, I do this. I junk this. I go down one of these. I can keep this for Liquid Metal Coating, Mycosynth Lattice, Shenanigans, and all that. Oh, I'm a 61 card main deck. That's right. In that case, maybe let's go up on some of these and just plan on using them as counter spells and junk one more Karn. All right. I can get half of my combo pretty quickly. So I can turn 2, fetch a painter, play at turn 3. Not really combo off quickly here. I don't know that this hand has the makings of something that wins. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan. Yeah. 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 I like this. No mercy. All right, your move. God damn it. Like it's kind of fine because like Witherbloom Apprentice would still be something that would be very difficult to cast. All right. Do I just want to put like a Trinisphere in the graveyard? Make cantripping harder? My opponent probably can't cantrip more than once a turn anyway. Let's just grab a Painter's Servant. I will straight up destroy a Lotus Petal that's played out. Bottom with the Preordain there. Nice. $19 turns to go. Definitely am being rewarded for taking a mulligan towards a more aggressive hand. I don't think I need to hold up like swapping Painter's Servant and Trinisphere right now. I don't really want that Trinisphere to leave play. Now I might want to consider leaving up this, like losing 1 damage this turn to just have a Painter in play for the future. Yeah, I think I'm good with making that swap this turn. The Brainstorm is rough under Trinisphere when you also can't shuffle. Alright, my opponent played another mountain. Let's get back Painter's Servant. Gunking the Hope of Garapar. Alright, so everything is blue so that I can Pyroblast everything. Nice. So, like, that's a Vindicate. And I think I'm good with just, like, firing that off there. Cutting off my opponent's cantrips is so huge when I'm under, like, a Blood Moon. Oh no, a colored mana. So I can turn this Lotus Petal into a Hope of Girapur, which I think I will go ahead and do. It'll just accelerate my anemic clock over time. Oh wow, my opponent is going for a Summoner's Pact. Or an Elvish Spirit Guide. How do they win this turn? Through Trinisphere. Like, I don't understand. They would need to play something that wipes the whole board? I kind of think they just killed themselves. Could be wrong, but see. Okay, so they exiled a Spirit Guide. Alright, so they're trying to Abrupt Decay Trinisphere. I'll swap it with Hope of Garapor. Do they have yet another Spirit Guide? Okay. They have yet another Spirit Guide and Chain of Smog. Well, damn. Yeah, honestly, that's kind of impressive. I did not expect to lose that quickly from this position. So my opponent did that in their upkeep, so they were missing one of the cards that they used. Which is what makes that more impressive than anything else. Ah. My opening hand here is kind of unimpressive. I think I'm going to take a mulligan. This hand, though, this hand's sick. The Welder seems like the thing that's probably out of place here. It's a little awkward that playing a turn 1 Magus of the Moon will make my Planeswalker worse, but the turn 1 Magus of the Moon could just win me the match outright. So, like, there's that. Delta fetch. Alright. Probably goodbye Magus of the Moon. Maybe goodbye Planeswalker if my opponent has days. I'm gonna just take this one slow. I can't really play Chandra Heart of Fire reasonably next turn. Alright. There is not an ensnaring bridge in the sideboard, which is kind of rough here. I think I just play Karn around a Daze next turn. I would like to kind of slow roll this hand a bit if possible. Tarmogoyf is already a 3/4, and if I play a Planeswalker and it gets countered, especially if I use a Lotus Petal to do so, that can buff Tarmogoyf by 2 and really increase the amount of pressure that's on me. If I can avoid that, that would be great. Okay, well, now I know what Karn's doing at the very least. Alright, there's a bigger Tarmogoyf. That's a 5/6 now. Let's hold the grindstone. Let's not put a lotus petal into the graveyard this turn. Land, sorcery, instant, creature, planeswalker, soon artifact. We haven't collected everything, but we're darn close. Alright. We're going to play the card that's in my hand. I think I'm just supposed to dump this grindstone into play. See if I hit something that's free off of this. Goblin Welder. I can't cast that. I don't have any mana. That's fine. If this Planeswalker gains me 6 life, that's pretty good, honestly. And if it doesn't gain me 6 life, well, maybe it can draw me a Painter Servant next turn. Yeah, I would have killed the Planeswalker too. The risk is just so great of me finding something like an Ensnaring Bridge and then sitting behind it and hiding. Yeah, that's a dead. Well, I guess it's technically 8 damage. Yes, I can wait and see if I draw a Painter. It's a row. I'm guessing that my opponent is a mid-range deck rather than a Delver deck, but I have seen Wastelands. I'm gonna mill you out of spite. Alright, so now I know about Narset and Fatal Push that I didn't know about before. Okay, so now I think I want this Ensnaring Bridge in the sideboard so that I can Karn for it. I want more Red Elemental Blasts to answer Uros, and I think I want Surgicals for the same reason. I don't hate Spellskite. I don't think I want this. I don't think this works out super well against my opponent's Tarmogoyfs and Uros. I don't think I need a Hope of Girapar. That gives me back to 61. Sure, let's go with this. Yeah, this is fine. If I engineer this turn, I put Painter into the graveyard. No, I don't just have like a super quick goldfish there. Close. But not quite there without the Lotus Petal. If we could just hardcast a Worm Coil Engine and have it resolve, I would be okay with that. That doesn't get Fatal Push. That doesn't get Abrupt Decayed. No shuffle on the Ponder. I just cast a Worm Coil Engine next turn. Costs me 2 life this turn to do it. I think I'm doing it. Well, if I can. I could get like Wastelanded on my opponent's turn. That makes my Worm Coil Engine slightly more sad, but whatever. We have blasts for that. YOLO! That reacts only. Now I'm running on fumes. Like, I can just rip a Painter at any time and potentially win on the spot. But I'm not really playing cantrips or anything to help me get towards that situation. Yeah. I think I like the city more than I like the mountain. And I think I will be milling myself. Alright. Are you wastelanding me? Sure. That seems reasonable. What is the value on this? 5. That's very awkward. Very awkward. I can hold out for a Blood Moon effect. Get him to hate myself. I don't want to go to Baleful Strix beats. Okay. Awkwardly, I might have to play this out in a way that doesn't just win me the game on the spot. open it up to abrupt decay. Or that can happen too. And this is one of the things I wanted. I am unable to catch a break here. The good news is my opponent has burned through... Oh, shit. Has burned through a bunch of their force effects. So if I were to top deck another painter or a welder or something, it's pretty likely to actually resolve now. Of course. Well, at least I can use this to sneak another land into play. Next turn, I can use the pseudo flashback ability here. Make some elementals. That'll be fun, right? Is that good? Do I need this land? This land lets me go paint or grindstone activate. I probably need to keep this land and not make those elementals. Now that I have a painter servant in graveyard, I don't think I want to grindstone myself. Well, I don't think I need to surgical anything here. I think my life points are more valuable than anything else. Okay. So this is the turn. Next turn I need to rip a painter or I die. I guess technically there's other outs because I can also just find something that kills a Baleful Strix and that gives me another turn. So there's 3 force effects in graveyard and another force effect in exile. No shuffle, unfortunately. Okay. So, I guess the question is, did my opponent set this up in a way where the card that's on top of their library right now is one that they actually want to draw? I feel like the answer is yes. I'm going to grindstone them. Two lands. 3 lands. So I can play a Karn, activate Ancient Tomb, and die? Like, Karn finds Painter, but I can't play it this turn. I can't use his Ancient Tomb for mana, so it has to be something that costs 0. The only thing there is Torment of the Crypt, and I'm taking 2 in the air. Alright. Dead. Alright, this hand is fine. I am going to be a little bit mana light if I actually end up resolving this Blood Moon. But that's future Phil's problem. Okay. Now I'm happy enough with the Blood Moon. Hopefully we can settle in and play a longer game. Painter's not the best short game deck. You have games where you just like, I had the LED and I went off on turn 2, but those sorts of hands are kind of rare, at least for how this deck is currently built. And we're really looking to just like grind out longer games with these welders and engineers and recruiters and stuff like that. But we haven't gotten to play one of those games yet. We just got beat to death by Tarmogoyfs and Chain of Smog. So we might be playing against something Miracles or maybe Miracles adjacent. Deck identity has gotten a little bit blurrier in Legacy recently because there's so many just like row piles that have kind of lost at least a portion of their identity. Lavinia in game 1. Interesting. So we're mooning? We're mooning. Please? Please, sir, can I have moon? One tiny blood moon. Love this art, by the way. By Lavinia. Alright, Goblin Welder. Get in the red zone. So I'm gonna guess that my opponent is playing some sort of BANT control deck, question mark? Not entirely sure. Lavinia in game 1 circumstances is really more of a vintage thing than a legacy thing. Opponent says they're a fan of the stream and podcast. Abundant Harvest has seemed pretty good to me in Legacy in the past week and a half or so. It's picking up some steam. I don't know that it's always like the card you want to be playing in your deck, but I like it as an option. I will blast the hell out of the Sylvan Library given the opportunity to. I get Swords to Plowshare here. Alright, Force of Will, pitching Plains. Force of Will, pitching Plains. Okay. My opponent did not have a blue card available for pitching to Painter's Servant until I turned everything blue. Good on my opponent for knowing that interaction. Like, that used to be one of those tricks that you did all of the time. Burrow? Burrow. You did all of the time back in the days when Painter was more common, but now Painter is pretty darn rare. Painter keeps getting hit with the backlash of, like, bans. things like Arkham's Astrolabe and Sensei's Divining Top that were totally reasonable in this deck. Um, Packing here, and I'm playing Recruiter. Recruiter will get Engineer. I kind of have a bottleneck on actual factual red mana. And my opponent may be at 8, but they're about to have an Uro in play, which does a lot of work in undoing that sort of stuff. Yeah, if I had more colored mana here, I would have very much thought about grabbing Magus of the Moon. I want to get to grind this game. So my opponent showed me Lavinia, which means that they have white mana in their deck, which probably means that they have Swords to Plowshares in their deck. Which means Banner Servant could go to exile and not to graveyard, which is kind of annoying for me. I guess opponent's lands are going to be a little strained. Okay. That's fine. What am I afraid of? Savine's Reclamation. Okay. I don't think I'm super afraid of that. Not like I'm happy about it. Not terrifying. Try to win. Try to win with Grindstone. I don't care about the drawing a card portion right now. I just want to poke Narset. So that Narset can't draw them another card. And I actually don't really want to put Narset into the graveyard. Just want to leave it at 1 so I can pick it off later. I have Savine's Reclamation to be thinking about. Thinking about some assorted weird priority situations that can happen. There's a very strange game of chicken that could go on. Oh, I see they named land. Four mana? And they really needed the 4th? That's supposed to be 4. Also, do I just weld out here? I don't think I weld out here. I think I want to have multiple of these things active and start messing around. I can weld Painter Servant into Grindstone, activate Grindstone, weld it back, but then I don't really have protection. I just play out a bunch of welders and then, like, actually try to win next turn? I think so. This one just requires a little extra mana, which I don't love. I also straight up could just try to kill my opponent. Um, although one of these aren't snowlands, so I don't have to worry about Icefang Coatl. Interesting. There's Hull Breacher. So my opponent goes 3 mana for Hull Breacher, blocks a Painter's Servant that attacks. I weld it for Grindstone. Good God, this turn got complicated. Alright. I think I just don't mess around too much here. I think I send these two at face. I don't care if I lose either one of those to a flash creature. I would really just like to draw another artifact so that I don't have to do this elaborate dance. I think it's fine as of next turn. This is the Uro coming back so that they just don't die. That's fine. I think I'm fine to just go for this here. Alright, so Engineer. Grindstone for Painter's Servant. Alright, we're going to hold priority now. We're going to activate Grindstone. Target our opponent. Okay. Now we Goblin Welder the Grindstone for the Painter's Servant. So we'll name blue. Oh, my opponent just like Stone Cold had nothing the whole time. Cool. I also get to see like their whole deck. Ashiok, Uro, Brazen Borrower, Mentor. There's a lot of singletons here. Opponent says misclicked, had swords with force backup. I could have weldered twice more. So I beat that. GG. Guess I should have snipped my opponent's deck. I don't think it matters much. Like, I'm bringing in more blast effects. And I don't know that I need this. There's this weird tension here between me wanting to board cards in and me wanting to be able to wish for cards. Slash me wanting to be able to goblin engineer for things. So I think Trader Makers and Hope of Girapurs are Actually, my artifact count is way lower than what I'm used to playing with. I don't have like Astrolabes in this deck anymore. Maybe I should keep this just because it's an artifact. Okay, maybe different direction. Maybe Goblin Crater Maker isn't the be-all, end-all here. Maybe I board those out. Board in Spellskite and the additional 2 blasts. Braid is kind of whatever. Do I want Surgical or Fairy for Uro? I don't know my heuristics well enough to know whether or not I need that, or whether or not I just don't care about an Uro. Let's try boarding no surgicals this time and just kind of see how it feels. Yep, turn 2 Blood Moon. Can Pyroblast something on turn 1 if I need to. This is fine. Turn 1 Blood Moon? Do turn 2 Blood Moon with Spirit Guide backup. So this gives my opponent a chance to find another basic land, but I still think this is good enough to be worth doing because of how difficult it makes it to cast an Uro. Now my opponent could just have like some sort of disenchant effect. Yeah, it looks like that's what's happening, and my blast doesn't get around that. Yep. I have my own pseudo force of will at the ready if I need it. By pitching Seeming and Spirit Guide and Pyroblasting. But we're not gonna just use that all loosey-goosey. Yeah, we might be playing a slow-ish Maze Mind Tome-based attrition strategy. Oh, my opponent has Brainstorm locked themselves. Fire Blast is turn 3, so I've already played my land. Yep, this is fine. Like I can just extract value out of this Maze Mine Tome for the next 3 turns, especially if my opponent locks themselves. Stop my grindstone combo. No. Stops my welder shenanigans. That's fine. Recruiter. Recruiter for Painter. Play Painter. All right. Maybe I should have blown up their lands. Yeah, I should have blown up both of their lands there. Then even if I don't go the combo route, I'm still just quite safe. And I can like start thinking about just playing this as something that attacks their life total. I'm not going to scry with this. I want cards out of this if this game goes long. Two, 4, 5, 6, potentially 7, 8 mana. I'm going to go ahead and play another Painter Servant. Now I don't really care about removal spells on my painters. I just need to resolve the grindstone. Yeah, the Source of Plowshares doesn't do anything right now. I guess my opponent's last 2 cards could be double Swords to Plowshares, which would be kind of daggers. But I'm activating in this turn cycle anyway, so. Alright, they did not have double Swords to Plowshares. GG's. Okay, I'm being presented with another one of those hands where I can just keep a turn 2 Blood Moon and see if it beats my opponent. The rest of the hand is eh. Actually, it's a turn 2 uncounterable Blood Moon. Okay, alright. I'm in. I don't know if you all saw that, but I just had a super weird visual bug across the screen. Alright, we are playing against Blue-Red Delver, in which case, going all in on a Magus of the Moon. Not where we want to be. We can get to that Worm Coil, though. That would be pretty sexy. I don't know that we're going to get to the Worm Coil. Like, it's very awkward in terms of my mana. So if I play City of Traders to play Magus of the Moon next turn, and my Magus of the Moon gets countered or bolted, my mana development stops a lot. Yeah, I think I need to play for the long game here, rather than the short game. I want to play this Goblin Crater Maker. If it just gets bolted, I don't care that much. If it doesn't get bolted, I can use it to kill a Delver. I'm going to assume that we're playing against the Expressive Iteration version. There is a rug version of that running around now, championed by Lewis CBR. Oh wow, we're actually going to get to cast a Wormcoil Engine. I think I'm still supposed to cast Magus of the Moon as a bait spell. I do not want this card to resolve. But I'm kind of feeling Stifle from my opponent. Ooh. Nice. Well, I guess let's clear the board. I can't both bolt and stifle right now. Kind of middling Karn options do I have? Chronosphere, Spellskite, part of a combo. I don't know if I'm supposed to YOLO Wormcoil Engine into Daze next turn. My opponent has no pressure. Yeah, we'll play Wormcoil Engine next turn. Do I just plus this Karn? I think I just plus this Karn. Let's not lose this Karn to a Lightning Bolt. Okay, I think my Stifle read was correct. Ah, Petty Theft, sure. Okay, I mean, that cost me 2 life, but I'm good with that. The Karn didn't get forced the first time down. I think it's time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I can Karn for a lot of different things next turn. I guess one thing I can be thinking about is just grabbing a Tormod's Crypt so an Uro doesn't beat me. This is also the wrong timing to do this, unless their last card is also Stifle. It was Stifle. Sure. Just grab a Crater Maker. Yeah, just grab a Crater Maker. This doesn't win me the game next turn or anything, but I think I'm just in marvelous shape this game. Sure. I just have Mycosynth Lattice next turn. Just grab it now and put it in my hand so I can't get stifled. I'm good with that. This means they have to draw a creature this turn, or I win. Oh, Pyroblast is an insane draw. So I can go 2/4/6 plus hold up Pyroblast. And I think, yeah, all their relevant interaction should be blue. All right, I want versus the Rug Delver deck. I guess again, this is the question of like, where do I want this ensnaring bridge? Do I want to be able to Karn for it? Slash, do I want to be able to engineer for it? I want more blasts. Spellskite is sort of interesting. Maybe I board that in over Hope of Girapur. Feel like this is just too slow against a Daze deck. I think the same is true for the Immortal Sun. Chronospheres are okay. Boarding in additional combo pieces are okay. Boarding out the bridge is interesting. I have more effective copies of it. And also board out the LED here. If I wanted to. Transfer on the draw is too slow. I think I'm going to submit like this for this game. And on the play, I can consider Tronosphere if we go to a game 3. I wish this hand had a little bit more mana, but I'm going to go ahead and keep. Like, I have a removal spell, and if my opponent doesn't play an initial creature, well, an initial Delver, rather, I have something to do on turn 1. Just straight up OG Nimble Mongoose. I don't care about this card. I think the primary way I'm looking to win this game is turn 3 Blood Moon with Pyroblast backup. So I won't counter here if my opponent counters this grindstone. Which I don't think they should. That's just a pure mana efficiency brainstorm. My opponent is down 1 land due to days in the first place. Oh god, that's really good. Now I'm mostly scared of my opponent having 2 counters plus a wasteland. That's the second time that Pyroblast not countering Wilt has come up. Sort of strange, you know? So I'm most scared of getting wastelanded. Not scared enough that I'm going to, like, Pyroblast a Ponder. But nevertheless, scared. Pitching a Daze. God damn it. All right. That one's for Twitter. This is awkward. So I can untap City of Traders next turn, use its mana, then make my land drop. This Winter Orb is going to just fucking savage me. I just kind of have to like pray that my opponent has nothing else. All right. I get a Painter's Servant. I am dead in 2 turns, which not good. Drawing a Lion's Eye Diamond would be pretty sick. Yeah, so I can play Painter's Servant, but then I have to chump block. Yeah. Fucking Force Spike. Karn feels awful against 4 spikes. Let's just board in more combo pieces. And then either Hope of Girapor or Fiery Confluence. Maybe Hope of Girapor. Could consider Trinisphere on the play, but I don't know how much time I'm going to have. I could have just YOLO'd a Painter's Servant there. I think I want to play this Blood Moon Protected next turn. Oh, I can't play the Blood Moon Protected next turn. Alright, so I'll name blue here. Honestly, maybe I just blow up that land, since I can't Blood Moon with protection. Honestly, I'm good with that. I'm gonna take 2 here. Thank you, Blood Moon. All right, I am keeping a reasonable painter hand. We have a grindstone, and we have access to a painter servant in multiple different ways. Swamp Thoughtseize. You'd be playing against a mono black deck. Would you like it if we were playing against a mono black deck? Would you? Yeah, you would. Um, like it's possible we've gotten paired against something like a Pox deck, but it's also possible that this is just an opener from a combo deck like Ant or TES. Luckily, my hand is just really redundant. So it's not like Thoughtseize is really good. The Immortal Sun is a very bad draw here. Could be Pox. I guess I Recruiter. This is a really awkward Recruiter since it costs me a Spirit Guide when I have like two largest cards in hand. My opponent has already burned through two different discard spells. I think it's reasonable to ask them not to have a third. Depths. Well, activation cost 3. Activation cost 3. All right, that's nice. Very happy to take game 1 here. Obviously, LED was just the literal best draw in my deck there. Moon effects are weird in these sorts of matchups. They're either really good or they lose you the game. I have a weird number of things to be thinking about. I think I want the Ensnaring Bridge in my sideboard for Karn. I think that card's just really important in the matchup. I don't think I want the Immortal Sun. I don't think I want more blast effects, because my Painter Servants are somewhat likely to get stripped by discard. Chandra Heart of Fires can kill Bobs, which is nice, and Vampire Hex Mages. I have Repticates to think about. I don't hate Spellskite. I don't hate Revoker for Vampire Hex Mage. I also wouldn't really hate just boarding in my Painter and Grindstone. Being able to get Coding, Bridge, Lattice, Trinisphere is a really good package on its own. Maybe board a Hope of Girapor out, even though it can do the really cute thing of like block Merit Lodge, bring it back with a Welder the next turn. I don't think I need Seasoned Pyromancer. And I think I like this plan. It's possible Chandra Heart of Fire is worse than, say, a Fiery Confluence or a Blast or something. But if we make it to sort of a slow end game sort of situation, I really don't hate having access to it. Carnaplan? I mean, Karn gets a bridge. And I have mana for potential top decks. This is okay. Might just get turn 2'd. My opponent just goes, you know, Dark Depths, idiot. My Karn doesn't save me from that. Yeah. Right. I'm going to play in a way here that allows my opponent to misclick. This should not work. My opponent figured it out. All right, next game. All right, on the play, do I want Trinisphere? It's okay. It's not great. I think I like it better than Maze Mine Tome on the play. Maybe I'll do this. I don't know. It's possible. Like, Hope of Girapar and the Chandra are better than that. Keep. I think I keep this. It needs 1 land in 2 turns. And 3 turns is probably fine. And this hand is not soft to a discard spell because I have 2 grindstones. Play double grindstone or play Spellskite. I think I play Spellskite. I'm more worried about an Abrupt Decay than anything else here. Land, 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 land. Hold on, does this stop this? It does stop that. That's awesome. Now I'll just play double grindstone and hold up a blast. That should be pretty darn safe. I would counter that. What'd you pitch? A Reclaimer. Alright, nice. Oh, we just get there. Nice. So we end up with a 3-2 with this version of Painter. Overall thoughts on the deck list. This is the first of 3 Painter decks that we're going to play over the next couple of weeks. Let's get this all on screen, first of all. Blood Moon felt really good this league. Was very impressed by that. Kind of would want a 4th. The cards that felt weak were this. I feel like I want more artifacts. Like, there were definitely some games where I drew a bunch of welders and engineers, and my limiting factor was just the number of artifacts that were in my deck and that I was easily able to put into play. I understand that, like, Painter is kind of in flux now because, like, looping Astrolabes was something they did to grind value for quite some time, and now you can't really do that. I'm not sure if I would like to be on more LEDs and pedals and just play more games that are turbo or not. I would want to explore what sort of cantripping artifact options are available to me, or artifacts that otherwise can be played out early for some amount of value. I don't know, like a 5 drop is kind of awkward in a City of Traders mana base in particular. Um, and I don't know that Hope of Girapur is objectively powerful enough to be in this deck. So I would probably look at, like, just spitballing here. I would want a 4th Karn, 4th Petal, and 2 more LEDs as like the starting point of what I would think about testing next. 4th Karn just gains a lot of value. Like, you're sitting on a lot of good stuff here. As far as the sideboard goes, the stuff that I have access to is totally fine. Although Ensnaring Bridge in the sideboard for game ones might be better than, say, the second copy of Trinisphere, or maybe than the Phyrexian Revoker. I haven't been, totally wowed by Phyrexian Revoker, because a lot of times if you have a Karn in play, that already shuts off a bunch of artifacts, which are one of the primary sources of activated abilities in the first place. But overall, the deck felt good, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you made it this far, throw me a like or a comment. Those sorts of things help me out a lot. And if you want to get your own deck on stream, donation information is always in the video descriptions. If you really want to make me happy and support me, do a donation for a dealer's choice deck list and let me play something fun that I find. Alright, have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya!